Hello and welcome to my review of The Adventures of Adele Blanc. I'm not exactly sure how you say it, so I've decided that I'm just going to show you the cover so you can read it for yourselves. That should come out pretty well, I guess. You may see the screen of the playbook spazzing out, but don't worry about it, that shouldn't come up in the video. And if it does, well, I'm effed, so... Right. Sorry, I'm not used to standing up and doing a review at the same time. I nearly stood on something and I managed to avoid it. So, yeah, I apologise for the even more amateurish look of this review than normal. So anyway, this film follows a French writer living in 1911, Paris in 1911. And this story is going to take some explaining a little bit, so bear with me. So, French writer goes to Egypt so she can dig up the mummy of Pharaoh Ramses II's doctor. Her plan is to dig up the doctor, take him back to Paris, and then get a man to resurrect the doctor so that this ancient Egyptian doctor can heal her sister, who is in a vegetative state in a wheelchair. While that happens, this guy who is supposed to be resurrecting Ramses II's doctor also resurrects a pterodactyl chick in a 136 million year old egg. Egg hatches, pterodactyl comes out, flies around Paris, causing all sorts of shenanigans and such. And yes, all of that in 107 minutes. Quite the achievement, really. So, let's get to the review. I like The Amazing Adventures of Adele Blanc. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. So I'm going to try and stop saying the title of the film. It'll be in the title of the video, so yeah, it's not like you're going to be completely lost as to what film I'm reviewing. But anyway, I really like the film. The film has a really strong Indiana Jones vibe to it, with the character, the story, the adventure and action and such. That's all very reminiscent of Spielberg style in general, I would say, because it's kind of more than just Indiana Jones. It's similar to. Where else can I go from there? The first hour of the film is a really solid film. I thought it worked really well for what it was trying to do, because the plot wasn't too out there. It wasn't too complicated at that time. It was essentially the two stories going on: pterodactyl hatches, Adele trying to get this Pharaoh's body. And I thought for the first hour, the two stories not connected to each other really. I thought that worked really well all together. It is in French, so some people might not like it because you have to read a film. I honestly don't really understand that argument of why people don't like films that aren't in whatever language they're native to and don't like the subtitles. I never understood why they didn't like them. But even then, a lot of the writing is good. The writing is really cool at sometimes, in the way that they tell what's going on, or the narrator says what's going on. That's really cool. At times, I mean, it does kind of stray into your typical sort of, oh, we are the villains, we're gonna do all these villainous things, oh wait, things aren't going our way, okay, come help us. It did kind of get a little bit predictable at times. But still, a lot of the writing was good. It's a cool looking film. A lot of it is actually used in real places, and not a lot of it is CGI, except the mummies that get resurrected and the pterodactyl itself. But even then, the CG is kind of iffy at times. Like, you look at it and it looks kind of rigid. like unnatural, which I guess is a negative for me. But yeah, the writing was good. The stories, as I mentioned, the two different stories worked well when they weren't really connected. In the last 40 minutes of the film, they really merged together to make one, and I wasn't a fan of all that. I did feel as though it kind of got a little bit too dramatic, or a little bit too complex. I think if they'd changed it and kept the story to be a lot more simpler and a lot more relating to the Indiana Jones vibe of the first hour of the film, I think it would have been a lot better. Acting was good, no problems with that there. As far as negatives go, I have kind of already mentioned them. I do think the story became a little bit too complex for what the film tried to be. I wasn't a huge fan of how the two stories came together to make and have a good chunk of the film be the two stories together. I preferred it when they were separated. The ending to the film. Now, the ending to the film was really quite something, because I liked it, but I was just sort of, I guess I could say, disappointed as to how it turned out, because it turns out the ending is I didn't see coming. Out of all the things that could have happened, I did not expect what the ending was going to be, and that's what made me laugh about it. It wraps up something that happens in the start of the film, and I kind of think that it was a little bit of a lazy attempt, really. But it's still pretty cool, I won't lie. Sorry, I apologise for yawning. But anyway, altogether, I guess I should mention some people, like I've said, definitely has the Indiana Jones adventure and vibe to it that may annoy some people, because there were times where I was watching the film and I thought to myself, that's an Indiana Jones moment, that's what Indiana Jones would do. And I think that because it has that vibe to it, it has such a strong vibe, it's not subtle in any way. In the whole Egypt scenes, it's not subtle at all, but it did kind of seem as though that it wasn't a new character. It didn't seem like this Adele character. I literally saw the film and saw the scene and thought to myself, wow, that's an Indiana Jones thing to do. You're not really doing anything really that clever here. Even though it was clever, but it was clever in the Indiana Jones kind of way. In that you could say, alright, for the purposes of the film, that would work, but in real life that's not really going to happen. But that really wasn't too much of an issue for me. I'm just saying for some people it might be. So anyway, in summary, I like the film. Really cool, strong Indiana Jones-ish vibe through the first hour. The setting was really well. They really got the whole Parisian vibe to it, of all the sort of energy that the place has. So the setting was good as well, with Egypt, that all the tombs and such look pretty creepy. Some really good writing at times, good acting, cool story. I think maybe if they kept the story a little simpler, I think it would have been better. I wasn't a huge fan of how they connected the two stories. It wasn't bad, but I'm just not a huge fan of, the whole putting the two stories together anyway kind of thing. And yeah, it's 107 minutes and they got so much story and so much stuff happening in it. It kind of almost jarring at times. And the general ending itself I thought was a little disappointing with what they did. But anyway, I'm going to give the Extraordinary Adventures, because they are pretty extraordinary when you think about them. I'm going to give the Extraordinary Adventures of Adele Blanc 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now, the issue with the film is that because of the ending, it would be kind of difficult to have a sequel to the film. It really would be. So, and I guess if they wanted out and sorry, I apologise. I'm not really sure that a prequel would work at all because, you know, before the whole Adele Blanc character comes to being, you do see get a little backstory, a flashback showing these two sisters together. It seemed like it wouldn't be too interesting a film to make, and you can't really have a sequel without it being forced. So I'm gonna say no. I don't really want to see a sequel to Adele Blanc. Not saying the film is bad, but I just don't think it would work. Anyway, thank you for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. Hope you don't mind the whole new setup. I'm standing up instead of sitting down because I kind of prefer it doing it this way, and you get to see more of the wall, which is kind of what I've decided to call this now. Just the wall. It's got all this stuff on it, which is, yeah, normally when I'm sitting down you only see about down here. You see them, you see the Avengers, but you never see up here. And I think it's cool that you're able to see the posters and such on the top here. So like I said, thank you for watching my review. Hope you enjoyed it, found it informative. Hope you like the new format, and goodbye.